Okay, today we'll be looking at the problems on the review for the test coming up on Monday. Um, let's go ahead and look at these. So number 1 and 2 says simplify and then state the restrictions. So 2 minus x over x squared minus 4. So the first step to simplifying is to factor. Well, of course, the numerator here is in the wrong order. Let's fix that. Okay, so we see that in the numerator, a negative 1 needs to be factored out because the first term is not allowed to be negative. And we see in the denominator a difference of 2 squares, x plus 2, x minus 2. We see a factor in common of x minus 2, which can cancel. So in the numerator, we're left with negative 1. In the denominator, we're left with x plus 2. Now, when it says restrictions, it's referring to values that would make the denominator equal to 0. So those would be negative 2 and positive 2. So x cannot be equal to either of these because would cause the denominator to be 0. Number 2, we have x squared minus 6x plus 5 over x squared minus 5x plus 4. Numerator factors into negative 1 and negative 5 because negative 5 times negative 1 is 5 and negative 5 plus 1 plus negative 1 is negative 6, so that factors into x minus 5 and x minus 1. Denominator is negative 4 and negative 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is 4, negative 4 plus negative 1 is negative 5, so we got x minus 4, x minus 1. We can see that an x minus 1 will cancel here. So we're left with x minus 5 over x minus 4. Restrictions would be values that cause the denominator to be 0. So x minus 4, x cannot be 4 because that would make that factor 0. And x minus 1, x cannot be 1 because that would make that factor equal to 0. So these are restrictions. That's what it's talking about. Values that cause factors to be 0 in the denominator. Number 3, it says multiply or divide. We got x squared plus 2x minus 24 over x squared minus x minus 30 times x squared minus 12x plus 36 over x squared minus 36. So when we're multiplying and dividing, we have to factor everything. So we got to factor all numerators, all denominators. X squared plus 2x minus 24, that is x plus 6 and x minus 4. X squared minus x minus 30, that is x minus 6, x plus 5 times x squared minus 12x plus 36, that's x minus 6 times x minus 6. X squared minus 36, so that's a difference of 2 squares, that's x plus 6 and x minus 6. Now we can think of this as being a single fraction. We can cancel factors that occur in the top and the bottom, so x plus 6, x minus 6, another x minus 6. So our answer is whatever we have left. So we have an x minus 4 in the numerator and an x plus 5 in the denominator. Number 4, x squared minus 5x over x squared minus 4 times x squared minus 2x over x squared minus 25. This is multiplication, so we're going to factor everything. X squared minus 5x has a GCF of x. You can factor that out. You'll be left with x minus 5. X squared minus 4 is a difference of 2 squares, x and 2, so it's x plus 2, x times x minus 2. X squared minus 2x, that has a GCF of x. Factor out the x, you're left with x minus 2. X squared minus 25, that's a difference of 2 squares, x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay, now we can cancel any factors that occur in the numerator and denominator. So we got an x minus 5, got an x minus 2. So what are we left with in the numerator? We're left with an x and an x. So x times x in the numerator. What are we left with in the denominator? We have an x plus 2 and an x plus 5. Our answer should be in standard form, so we're going to have to actually do the multiplication. So in the numerator, x times x, that would be x squared. In the denominator, we're going to distribute x times x, x squared, x times 5, 5x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 5 is 10. Combining the like terms in the denominator, 5x and 2x, we get x squared plus 7x plus 10. And this would be our simplified expression. Number 5 is a division problem. We got x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x, and that is over x squared plus 2x minus 24, divided by 6x minus 18 over 8x squared minus 32x. All right, time to factor. So the x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x, there's a GCF there of x. So I can factor out the x, and I'll be left with x squared minus 6x plus 9. Looks like that's going to factor again. X squared plus 2x minus 24, that's x plus 6 times x minus 4. You can go ahead and, well, we'll leave this as division. We'll change it to multiplication in a second. GCF of 6x minus 18 is 6, leaves you with x minus 3. And then denominator, GCF there would be 8x. That leaves you with x minus 4. Now this can still be factored. Okay, so we do need to factor that x squared minus 6x plus 9. That factors into x minus 3 and x minus 3. Okay, this is x plus 6 and x minus 4. Let's change it to multiplication, which means flipping the second fraction. So you got 8x times x minus 3, or sorry, x minus 4 in the numerator now. And we got 6 times x minus 3 in the denominator. Now remember, 8 factors into 2 times 2 times 2. And 6 factors into 3 times 2. The importance of doing this is so we can see factors that cancel. Okay, so now that everything is 100% factored, I can go through and cancel factors that show up in the numerator and denominator. So x minus 3, x minus 4, a2, and that's it. So what do I have left? So for the first fraction, or for the numerator, I have 2, 2x, x, and x minus 3. So 2 times 2 times x times x times x minus 3. All right, in the denominator, I have 3 and x plus 6. All right, put this into standard form. So that's 2 times 2 is 4 times x, so that's 4x squared over x times x minus 3. And then distribute 3 times x, 3 times 6, that's 3x plus 18. And then one last time, let's distribute to get rid of parentheses here. 4x cubed minus 12x squared over 3x plus 18. And that would be our simplified, be our quotient, technically, since we're dividing. Number 6 says add or subtract. So remember to do this, we need a common denominator. So we got 4x over x plus 3 plus 12 over x plus 3. Well, that's simple. Okay, we already have a common denominator. Our denominator is x plus 3. So I can just add the numerators. Well, wait a minute. 4x plus 12 can factor. If you factor out the GCF there, you get x plus 3. Well, a factor of x plus 3 in the numerator and a factor of x plus 3 in the denominator can cancel, so all we're left with is 4. So keep that in mind, that you do want to check your factorizations at the end to make sure that they don't have any factors in common. Number 7, negative 5x minus 5 over x squared minus 2x minus 3 plus x over x minus 3. All right, we need to factor this denominator here. So you got negative 5x minus 5 over x minus 3, x plus 1, plus x over x minus 3. For these problems, you don't need to factor the numerators. You only have to do that with multiplication. For addition and subtraction, we only need the denominators factored because then we find the GCF, or I mean the LCD. The LCD, the factors they have in common, x minus 3. Factor they don't have in common is x plus 1. So I need to make both of these denominators into this. This already has it, and this one is missing the x plus 1. All right, I'm going to go ahead and distribute here. So I got negative 5x minus 5 over x minus 3x plus 1 plus x squared plus x over x minus 3 times x plus 1. And now that they have the same denominator, I can just combine them over a single LCD and add the numerators, negative 5x minus 5 plus x squared plus x. Combine the like terms here, so we got x squared doesn't combine, but the negative 5x and the positive x combine to make negative 4x, and then we've got negative 5, and that's over x minus 3, x plus 1. Now, we do want to check to make sure that the numerator here does not factor into, or does not have a factor of x minus 3 or x plus 1, because if it has a factor of either of those, then they're going to cancel. Okay, so let's check what the numerator factored would be. Okay, because this is our final answer. It's in factored form, the denominator is. Let's check to see if the numerator has factors in common. X squared minus 4x minus 5, that factors into x minus 5 and x plus 1. Okay, well, it does actually look like it has factors in common because they both have an x plus 1 in common in the numerator and denominator. So we end up with x minus 5 in the numerator, x minus 3 in the denominator for number 7. Number 8, 9x over x minus 2 minus 3x plus 12 over x minus 2. Okay, well, the common denominator is already x minus 2. Okay, they both have the same denominator. So I can put them over x minus 2, and I can just combine the numerators. Now remember, both of these are subtracted. So the 3x is being subtracted, the 12 is being subtracted. Combine the like terms, 9x minus 3x, that's 6x. So we got 6x minus 12 over x minus 2. Now, make sure that 6x minus 12 does not have a factor of x minus 2, okay? Because something tells me that it might. It does have a GCF. The GCF here is 6. So if you factor out a 6, you get x minus 2. And that's over x minus 2. All right, well, that's what we were looking for, actually, because they have a factor in common that can cancel. So all that we're left with is 6. 9, 10, and 11 are solving. Okay, so that requires a GCF. So x over 8, or sorry, an LCD. X over 8 plus x over 3 is equal to 5 over 1. I'm going to make this a fraction. Okay, so I'm going to look for the LCD of all three denominators, 8, 3, and 1. Factors, so 8 factors into 2 times 2 times 2. 3 doesn't factor in anything else, and neither does 1. Factors, so the LCD would be any factors that any of them have in common, well, none of them have anything in common, multiplied by what they don't have in common, which is 3 2's and 3. Okay, so I need to make sure I multiply each of these so that I can create this number right here. So this one gets multiplied by 3. This one gets multiplied by 8, 2 times 2 times 2. And this one gets multiplied by 24, 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So this becomes x times 3. So this is 3x over the LCD. This is 8x over the LCD. 5 times 2 is 10, 20, 40, 120. So this is 120 over the LCD. Now I only need to consider the problem in the numerator. We got 3x plus 8x equals 120. Combine like terms, 3 and 8, 11x is equal to 120. Divide by 11. What? We'll just leave it as a fraction because it doesn't reduce, so we will just leave it as 120 over 11. Now make sure that it doesn't cause any denominators to be equal to 0. We don't even have any variables in the denominator, so that's not even possible. All right, number 10, 3 over 4x minus 2 over 3x is equal to 1. We'll write that as 1 over 1. So we're looking for the LCD of all three, so let's factor all three denominators. So 4x, 4 is 2 times 2, and then times x. 3x, that's just 3 times x, and then 1. All right, so the LCD would be anything that they have in common. So these two have an x in common. So that's part of the LCD. And that's all they have in common. The rest of the LCD is what they don't have in common. So 2 2's, a 3. So this is our LCD. This is 12x. So we need to create that in each one. This one would have to get multiplied by 3. It has the 2's and the x. This one would have to get multiplied by the 2's. And this one would have to get multiplied by everything. So we got 9 over the LCD minus 8 over the LCD equals 12x over the LCD. Now that everything's over the LCD, I just need to consider the problem in the numerators. 9 minus 8 equals 12x. So 1 equals 12x. Divide by 12. So x is 1 over 12. Check to make sure that's not an extraneous solution or a restricted value. The only restricted value I have here would be 0 and 0. And this is not 0, so it's not an extraneous solution. Number 11, 2 over x minus 2 minus 1 over x equals 4 over x squared minus 2x. Okay, let's make sure that the denominators are factored. So x minus 2, that's fine, that's factored. X cannot factor anymore. And then x squared minus 2x, there's a GCF there of x. Factoring out an x gives us x minus 2. So the LCD will be anything, we're looking for the LCD for all three of them, okay? So anything that any of them have in common counts as being in common. So for example, these two have x in common, and these two have x minus 2 in common. So the LCD is x times x minus 2. So I need to make that for each of them. So the first one is missing the x. The second one is missing the x minus 2. And the third one has everything. Okay, so I just need to multiply. So this is 2x over the LCD minus, let's distribute, x minus 2 over the LCD equals 4 over the LCD. Let me go ahead and combine these into a single fraction. So remember, these are both subtracted. 2x minus x plus 2 over the LCD equals 4 over the LCD. And now that both sides, everything is over the LCD, I just need to consider the problem in the numerators. So 2x minus x plus 2 equals 4. Combine the like terms, 2x minus x is, so we got x plus 2 equals 4. Subtract 2, x is equal to 2. Now, we want to check to see that this is not an extraneous solution, which means that it shouldn't be a restricted value for the denominators. It shouldn't cause the denominators to be 0. We plug it in here, 2 minus 2, that actually becomes 0. So already, this is a problem. So this is referred to as extraneous, which means there is no solution. Okay, extraneous solutions do not count as real solutions. So number 11, even though we found a solution of 2, it does not actually work. We don't have a solution. All right, and that is all the problems here today.